We're signed to a couple of independent record labels. Fat Mike from Fat Records, he wanted to sign us as his first band on his label, but we turned him down and signed to CZ Records, which had been like a guy that had worked at Sub Pop and started his own label and had pretty good track record. I think we were negotiating with Atlantic Records, which would be considered a major, one of the three majors, or four, and they apparently we were signed. We were about to be signed if had we signed the contract because it was in the mail. We had just finished meetings with them on the day before she was murdered, and that was kind of in the works. We had talked to our lawyer who was negotiating a contract with Atlantic Records, and we would have had a career sort of set up for the next, I don't know, 11 records or whatever. Yeah, it would have been a really great, interesting living.
Yeah, you met with Tim Summer of Atlantic Records, right? He had a meeting with you. Yeah. What was discussed in that meeting? And
he wanted to sign us. He said, what do you need? And we're like, well, we're going to get a lawyer to ask to find out. But he said, oh, with you'll have money, you won't have to work, you'll be able to, travel and do shows and tour and make records, and you'll basically be an employee of Atlantic Records for as long as things work out. And we had the vibe at the time was like indie good, major bad, right? So a major record company, it was almost like selling out. That was the pinnacle of selling out, was going to a major label. Even Cobain talked about it a lot. So eventually the record company saw that doing it their way was not productive anymore, and that if bands wanted to, they could do it themselves just as well and make more money or be just as successful without a major record label. So major record labels really had to step up their promoting and just supporting bands that they signed, as opposed to just seeing which ones had a hit right off the bat and then dropping the rest, right? Or putting all their money into one or two artists like Bruce Springsteen or Madonna and forgetting about the other bands that are there, letting them flop. So that shift had happened, and we were really trying to decide, do we want to go with the major? Because we would have had a lot of opportunities at that point because our records were well received critically, all over the world. And it was probably a matter of time before you would have heard the Gits on, the radio everywhere.
And I want to ask about the dream that you had too.
Yeah, it was a dream I had. It was actually 10 years after she had been killed. And I was at home and pretty much had been trying to keep the investigation going, even though it had been so long. We needed to raise money because we had a private investigator hired that we needed to pay. And we had run out of money at that point. And I woke up one morning and I was feeling happy. And I decided to burn some CDs and send them to my friends because records were out of print. And I thought, gosh, this music's still good. People should hear it. And I was burning the CDs when that dream I remembered my dream had been that we had met at on a park bench somewhere, and she had said not to worry, that she was fine, that she was playing jazz music, singing jazz in like underground clubs in New York or something. And I was like, oh, that's great, nice to see you. And we said goodbye. She said not to worry. It was a very vivid dream, and I hadn't dreamt about her much at all. So she appeared in my dream, and then that day the phone rang that very afternoon. And someone said, you don't know me, but I work for the Miami Herald, and I have on good authority that they have someone in custody who killed your friend. And I'm like, who is this? This can't be true. And it was true.